Cowan, Tennessee, which has been a favorite spot of mine since discovering it, has been an interesting focal point along with the museum and the train display here. For many times I've video recorded trains here, certain aspects I've come to appreciate here and decided to share this with any train fan planning a future trip here. Signals and telltale signs would often excite me or any fan when a train approaches this area. As we start here at what we consider milepost 87, this is actually considered the gateway to the Cumberland Mountains, but this area offers a lot more than what you see here. As we take a more in-depth look, we find that we have many surprises that are in store for any train fan that's going to visit this area. As we enjoy the view of the area, certain trains will disrupt the usual settings of this town, as we are approached by the northbound train that had been given the signal, as seen earlier in the video. Let's take a gander and just observe the various things that's seen on these trains that pass through here. Certain enthusiasts enjoy every moment here, especially for my friend Bobby Guest, who's grown up here his whole life. He'll give you in detail the knowledge that he obtained as he lived in this town.
Well, living here all my life, we've got one major attraction that attracts everybody. Rail fans, historians, and this museum has been here since the 70s. Built in 1904, this lovely building behind me has been here for almost 100 years? Almost?
Yeah, 115 years.
115 years. It's got everything about Cowan, the railroad, everything you need to know. At least some of it. We're still trying to gather stuff. But it attracts rail fans, historians. It's a family-oriented place. And as you see, we've got what kids love to play on. We got a train. We've got a 1920s Porter steam engine with an 1880s tender. We got an old L&M flat car. We got a converted NC and St. L caboose that started out as a cattle car, and then they did some projects in the past, and they converted a cattle car into a caboose. And you got our 1950s box car and late 40s, early 50s. I meant 44 tonner. Excuse me, 1950s 44 tonner and late 40s, early 50s boxcar.
South of town, the railroad starts to gradually climb up nearly 2% on this grade, as you see here, which prompted the original railroad that built this line to establish the Pusher Locomotive District in the 1850s after the line was completed through here.
Just 2 miles south of Cowan also has the Cumberland Mountain Tunnel. Just 2,228 feet long, built under construction 1849 and finished in 1852.
Just as Bobby finished up giving a little bit more info, our radios had clicked off an approaching southbound train just north of town. What you see here is actually the pusher pad just north of our last location at the museum. This was actually the site of the bustling Cowan yard back in the day, which also had a locomotive shed for maintenance, along with a coal tipple and water tower back in the days of steam. Here we observe our pusher locomotives and a grain train G121 out on track 2, awaiting its turn. As you can see here, Middle Cowan signal just up there has a high green for another approaching northbound train. Much of the yard had been downsized over time. This was once a bustling area, now just a staging area for our pusher locomotives. Just as we are observing around us, our approaching northbound empty grain train ended up having to make a stop to basically drop off a unit for our other train, which occurred a problem with the lead unit. Let's just watch and observe what takes place here. Unfortunately, there's moments for any rail fan that's trying to shoot in low light conditions. Lighting and battery situations are often ones that have to spoil it, and of course we couldn't catch any more clips of this movement. On another day, however, we observed this train, Q210, an empty autorack train out of South Carolina, bound for Smyrna, Tennessee, coming down the grade here. This is one of two autorack trains designated for this main line. Originally we had 4, but it seemed that 2 other ones had been designated for a different main line. After a northbound train had cleared, We now observe another grain train movement. Here we see our pusher locomotives in action on the end of the train, just as the previous one. Here we have the Cowan CTC building, which was built in 1944 by the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis Railway after they implemented an upgrade to the signal and communication system on the railroad. Centralized traffic control, as CTC is referred to, was first started in the 1920s, but the railroad didn't upgrade to it until 20 years after its first development. The tower here was a mainstay for a certain section of the railroad until sometime in the 1970s, when successful Louisville and Nashville upgraded the signal system, running the tower out of action. It was only afterwards that the maintenance away used it for storage for a good amount of years, until the railroad decided to cease the usage of it. But sometimes even the railroad gets some unusual visitors, such as W001, the railroad's geometry train making its way for Chattanooga. Here we see Cowan Tunnel, which sits 2 miles south of Cowan itself. This is actually the oldest tunnel in the state. As mentioned earlier in the video, the tunnel was completed in 1852. During the war between the states that had taken place between 1861 and 1865, this tunnel itself was almost a casualty when retreating Confederate forces tried to blow up the other end to keep Federal troops from getting to Chattanooga. As measured, this tunnel is 2,228 feet long. It makes for some amazing photos for any train fans that want to get pictures of any trains coming through it. Now, looking above the tunnel itself on that little brazier is actually the remnants of the Tracy City branch, which was another line that was constructed in the 1850s, hauling coal and lumber out of Tracy City and points north of the town itself. Known as the mountain goat line for the steep grades, was rated nearly 3%. The line was in use from its construction until abandoned in the mid-1980s. Coming down the grade after hiking up to the tunnel there, just as we get around milepost 88, sometimes you can observe and hear any familiar sounds. In this case, we actually have another northbound train coming from the direction that we just came from. You can actually hear this train winding down the grade if you were close enough. Even the sounds echo off the mountain as we observe it here. This train in particular, Q142, which is one of our daily intermodal trains, but this train had quite the surprise on the end of it, something not usually seen on this railroad.
Got him coming hot, number one there. All right, Mark.
We also get a glimpse of one train fighting the grade. Q211, the loaded auto-rag train, is seen here. We also get to see our pushers, what they do best. We're here at what is considered Mid Cowan, just north of the yard and just north of downtown Cowan itself. We'll observe a southbound train entering the area. And as we observe it, the pushers that are already waiting for this train, just to the north of it, you'll see in a scene where they actually get behind the train and push it after it starts to depart, heading south for Chattanooga. Sometimes rail fans can even get lucky, especially here in Cowan, when older power is actually leading on the front end of a train. Here we see an SD40-2 leading this train northbound. As you can see here, Cowan has gotten festive for the Christmas time, even with his lit up neon train display near the museum. But even the quiet setting at nighttime here is disturbed with every train that passes through. especially this one coming on that is led by two EMDs, which are also getting help from our pushers. you liked this video presentation as I did, please like and subscribe for more videos from Trainer Productions. As I want to say to all my viewers, Merry Christmas to all and a Happy New Year. This is Trainer85 signing out.